Hey Jabbers, we are back with another episode. And this week, Gabby and I wanted to talk about inviting kids to a wedding. I think I've done a blog post about this on Substack before, but we wanted to kind of share our thoughts on like both ends, like whether or not you're inviting kids to the wedding, proper etiquette for that, and then also a guest who's receiving the invitation. And if you have children, if they're not invited or they are invited, like how to respond to that. What are your options? And I think just kind of breaking it down a little bit because I think there are a lot of questions for clients swirling around of like we have a lot of family and friends that have kids, but we don't necessarily want kids there, but we don't want to hurt people's feelings. And so we're going to dive into it a little bit, give you our thoughts. This will just be a quick mini episode. And maybe it'll help wedding pros kind of navigate that with their clients. Or if there's anybody listening who got invited to a wedding or is doing the inviting, how to handle the situation. So, Gabby, what are your initial thoughts? Do you have a lot of clients that invite kids to weddings? Are they usually like an adult only affair? What is it typically like for your clients?
Good question. It's a mix. I don't know that there's ever a lot of kids. Like there's usually the younger babies that can't be separated maybe quite as much, and there's usually like a toddler or two because they're a direct niece or nephew of the couple and they serve as ring bearer or flower girl, which as we know never goes well. So ideally just skip that part. But I do not mind when they're there for the ceremony, if they have a role to play, like I said, flower girl, ring bearer, or you want them there for family photos. I understand that. Ideally, after the ceremony, it would be great if they could go to a sitter or, a room if it is happening where there's accommodations nearby. I think it's always so great if someone else or grandma's around, she can take them, something like that. I just think it makes it more of an outing for the parents, and allows them to respect the couple's dream of having, let's say, a child-free reception where they can let loose and not feel like if they're playing music with swear words, because who wants the censored version, that there's going to be some young listening ears that feels inappropriate for. My big thing, and kind of what I want to ask you, is because you have kids, I find it a little bizarre that people get insulted if the couple, it's not like the couple's like, "We don't want your damn kids at the wedding." Like, I'm sure the conversation is very respectful and say, "Hey, we really want you guys to let loose. Please understand this is a child-free wedding." I find it very strange when the guests who have kids are insulted. How do you feel about that?
No, I'd agree with you. I think, well, twofold. I mean, now that I have kids, if they were not invited, I would not be offended. I'd actually be like, okay, cool, let's find a babysitter. I'd prefer to go to a wedding without kids. Like if it's like a good close friend, like we went to a cousin of mine, her wedding last year, and we brought my daughter. And that was fun, and it was totally fine. I feel like a family affair, it's different. There was a bunch of kids there. But if it's like a really close, like best friend, and I just want to be like really present, I feel like I would want to leave my kids behind. Um, because even if, especially if you're someone who's in a wedding, like that's really hard because then sort of your partner is bearing the burden of like taking care of the kids by themselves, and it can be a lot. But I'm not offended. But I do want to say I think like for our my wedding, we did not invite kids and except my nieces and nephews who were in the wedding. Granted, my brothers both brought their mother-in-laws to come because it was destination. So they like were able to take them home early so that my family could stay. And they were just like helpful. But I feel like if you are offended, I don't know. I don't know why, like, why be offended by it? I
Right.
think I think on both sides, like we were talking about this earlier, like as the person doing the invitation and you're inviting close friends, and you're not inviting their children, I think you can't be offended if they decline to come to your wedding because it's not easy for everyone to find childcare. Some people don't have family nearby. So I think you can't be offended as the couple and also vice versa. If your kids aren't invited, like that's just the wishes of the couple. And I think you need to respect that. And like you have options, right? Either you and your partner don't go, or one of you stays behind and only one of you goes, or you find childcare and both of you go to the wedding, maybe for a shorter period of time. But I just feel like there's so many options and like being offended is just not the way to go.
Yeah. I agree, and I think of a situation, let's say, like, an extreme situation where it's a single parent that has a child and has no family, right? Like, that happens, and it's you as the couple really want that person to come. I think I would offer up to pay for a sitter, It could because I might know someone locally. I'm like, "Oh my god, I 1000% trust this person. Let's have them come and stay in a room next to the reception or nearby so you feel comfortable." But, like, I would definitely if especially if it was a best friend or someone really close that I really wanted to be there and that person didn't have the financial means, I would offer to
Yeah.
pay for a few hours of, for the at least the reception time or something like that. So, yeah, I think your point is, like, neither party there's no reason for either party to be offended. The decisions have to be respected if you choose not to invite kids, if that person can't come or that person is butthurt that they can't bring their kid, again, why? If they choose not to come and you're like, "That's no problem, like, I'm so sad you won't be there. I respect your decision. I'm gonna have a blast without your kid there." That's just the
Yeah.
reality.
Like you have to be okay as the couple knowing you're not inviting children of like close friends or family that they might not show up. And that happened to us. Like we didn't invite a lot of kids and a lot of my family didn't show up because, like, their kids it was kind of in the middle of the school year, and so it was like they just couldn't find someone to take care of them, or they had weekend activities, and it was like, okay, a lot of, like, extended family didn't show because their kids weren't invited, and I think that proved to be a little more difficult, and it was what it was, like, that was
Yeah.
our decision, but yeah, I think I've seen both sides of it and just like the arguments of people being like, well, now I feel like because my husband or whatever partner and I can't go, our friends are going to be mad at us. And also where couples have gotten mad at friends because they're feel like they're not making the effort to like even though their kids aren't invited. And I just think there's so many different personal reasons for people that like sometimes it just doesn't work out and we can't be offended by it.
Yeah. You know what's funny? We didn't invite kids to our wedding, but, like, 10 of them showed up, and I was not panicked at the I didn't really know until, well, the day before, I think, when we had our welcome party, and I was like, "Oh, everybody is here." And it's hard
I
because
love the like
"Oh, oh, we're all
rest
here,
assured, I'm not
gang."
gonna freak out.
Yeah, gang's all here. It ended up being totally fine because we got married at a ranch style place in Joshua Tree. And so there was like open fields. People could go do whatever they wanted. And the kids had a blast on the dance floor. And it was really fun. And we had such a small guest count. We only had about 65 people. But I didn't count for them in my meal count.
Mm.
And anyway, things had to happen kinda last minute, and it ended up being fine, but it was definitely like, I didn't have seats for them. We had rented.
That's so interesting that they, like,
Yeah.
brought them and but, like, never RSVP'd for them.
Yeah, and so looking back, I don't remember if any of the names showed up on the RSVPs. I definitely so when I wrote my RSVP or what yeah, when I sent it out, I said something like, I put the number of guests that were
Mhm.
invited. So it would be like the Smith family, 2 people, knowing very well they had, like, 2 kids.
Right.
And actually now I'm pretty sure one family in their RSVPs put because I asked for dietary or meal no, well, not even meal selection, just dietary. And I'm pretty sure they listed out just put the name of every family member that was coming. There was like 4 or 5 of them. And, like, at that point, am I supposed to be, like, calling them like, "Hey, by the way, just to clarify, your 3 kids are not invited." Like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't.
That is hard.
Yeah,
But also
but
yeah,
so
what a
many more
weird
showed up.
position to put you in. But I
Yeah.
think it is tricky because, like, when I think back on our wedding, I think we, like, cut it off at a certain age and obviously just, like, sent the invitation out to, like, just those specific people, not the kid like, didn't list the kid's name on the invitation. But I was like, some of my extended family, like, I don't know some of their kids at all, and then other cousins, like, I have known their kids and, like, grew up with them, and so it's like, as a couple, you're kind of deciphering who you want there because I don't know, at the end of the day, I'm like, I don't wanna pay for an additional 40 kids that I,
Yeah.
like, don't really know. They don't really
Yeah.
know me, but, like, you don't there's a fine line of, like, offending people because you did invite other people's, like, quote, unquote, kids, even if they were a little bit older. It's like, I think it's just kinda based on relationships, right?
Yeah.
And I did have 2 friends who did text me, I think, like, the week or 2 weeks prior, and they were having issues with, like, childcare, someone watching them, and they did ask if it was okay if they could bring them. They were like, "We really wanna be there," and I did let it slide for 2 people
Yeah.
because I wanted them there, and I was like, "It's fine." And, they came and everything worked out well, but I just feel like those are also decisions that I know maybe other people were offended. They're like, "Why are there kids here?" But,
Yeah.
outside of my nieces and nephews, but at the end of the day, it was like it was kinda last minute. And I'm glad they asked versus, like,
Yeah.
just showing up. Um, but I also think at the time they were, like, babies, like, baby, like, they weren't
Mhm.
eating, didn't affect, like, meal counts or anything like that.
You get porridge only. You get a packet of oatmeal. Last thing I was gonna say about this though too, let's say as the couple getting married, we have to be very clear about what the expectations are because looking back at my wedding 10 years ago, I think I wasn't clear that kids were not invited.
Mhm.
And so if someone just receives, like you said, receives an invitation and it has the parent's name on it, to me, that doesn't necessarily signify that the kids aren't invited because it's not like I'm going to go and list the 6 family members on the front of the envelope, you know?
Right, right.
I wouldn't necessarily assume that that's what that means. And also, someone who's not in the wedding industry like us does not know what the etiquette is of reading an
Right.
invitation. So I would probably say, especially on a wedding website, and even maybe reiterating on the invitation itself, saying, "We love your kids, but we want this to be an adults only
Mhm.
reception or full wedding or whatever it is. We've made accommodations to hire a sitter for everybody or whatever, like be
Yeah.
so clear because when resentment happens and this kind of stuff happens with miscommunications, it all comes down to communication and expectations. And I think if that is just made so clear, black and white from day one, less of this, resentment or, oh, I brought my kid. I'm sorry. I didn't understand that. Or, oh, you didn't bring yours, that kind of stuff.
That's a great point because in my mind, it's like if it's addressed the Smith family, that would include everyone in my household. But if it said Jeremy and Carrie Smith, I would know, okay, my kids aren't invited type of thing. But I
See, I
feel
wouldn't.
like that's not a known etiquette. You're right. Like unless you're in the industry or you're kind of just like more into the know of like etiquette of like gatherings like that. But I think it is good. Like a lot of times for clients we're like putting, especially if they're very adamant about it, it's like FAQs or
Yes.
like you said, a little note if you have a details card in your invitation. There's a little note that's like, this is a, adult only affair or however you want to word it. But I
Yeah.
think that is good if you want to reiterate to your guest.
And let's remember, I think the etiquette you're talking about is very common with the older generation, but do you think Gen Z knows how to decipher that? I really don't. Like my brother
That's a good
who's in his
question.
20s, I remember years ago he tried to address an envelope. Carrie, I'm pretty sure he put the address in the top right corner, a stamp in the middle. Like it was so out of whack. I'm like, first of all, no survival skills, but also I just I just don't think they understand the traditional etiquette as we
This is fascinating. We should do a
say.
poll on our Instagram to see if
Yeah,
people know certain like wedding etiquette procedure. I'd be really curious about that.
yeah. Especially when it comes to invitations, we should maybe have someone on about invitations because, like, you know how people do the Smiths. Is there an
Mhm.
apostrophe? Is there an S? The Smith is there an ES? The Smith is.
I will admit, I do not know when to put, like, an apostrophe or, like, an
No.
apostrophe after this. I'm like, I should learn more about grammar.
No, I mean, there's so much to learn about in this world, that's the last thing on my list, but
Yeah,
it would be cool to, like, talk to someone about the basics, so we
it
can
would.
better help Gen Z follow up with all
Learn
this.
how to address an envelope. I never thought about that. If you've never done it in your life.
No,
Your
because
poor
you've never
brother.
paid a bill via mail. We love Gen Z, we do love you, you are the future, and we are counting on you to get
I'm sure
married.
a lot of yeah, there's a lot of complaints they have about us millennials, so
Oh, for sure.
yeah,
We're
it's fine.
insufferable, Carrie. We are just
Insufferable.
insufferable. Man. All right, Jabbers. Okay, first thing before we part ways, if you did not give us a 5-star review or rating on Apple Podcast, I beg you to do that. It helps so much. Like, we don't have sponsors for the podcast. We are just self-taught and self-run with the goodness of our heart and our creative ideas. But it would be so rad. It would be so rad. And then also, if you want to take it a step further and you want to join us on Substack, we have either $5 monthly memberships or $60 for the full year. And you get a bonus episode every month that we dive deeper into certain things, or we get a little sassier with certain topics. And we give you that just for our Substack subscribers. And then Carrie and I alternate. We write an article each week about things that's happening in the wedding industry or just in general. So a little brain dump of our thoughts over there that is accessible for free. So you can subscribe for free to those articles, or you can also join as a member for $5 a month. And we would love to see you over there.
Anyway, thank you for being here. Thanks for supporting our podcast, and we will be back next week with a brand new episode. Bye.
Bye.